Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first in a summer series of conference calls focusing on the AgroVantage system. As you are all aware, this is the second series of conference calls taking place in 2020. This spring, we had a series of calls that covered a variety of topics such as foliar feeding, weed control using products such as Wex and RainFast, nitrogen management using Guardian L, biological products such as Synthos and Intensify. These calls are still available on the replay line and are very good resources for refreshing yourself on the AgroVantage system. We have also made available highlights of these calls on YouTube. These 4 to 5 minute audio clips are perfect for sharing with prospects as they are focused on a specific issue. For example, if you know someone that is having some nitrogen use efficiency issues, you can forward them the clips from the nitrogen call, such as nitrogen management, a call that discusses different nitrogen application methods and timings, or the Guardian L technology, a call that covers the results using the AgroVantage nitrogen stabilizer Guardian L. I'm Dan Wilgoes, AgroVantage Marketing Manager, and it's my pleasure to be on the call this evening discussing the AgroVantage system. Also on the call is Isaiah Akers, AgroVantage Product Specialist, as well as Conklin Director and 2019 Francis Childs Award winner, Preston Groby. Welcome, Isaiah and Preston.
Good evening.
For tonight's call, we want and are going to focus our discussion on field days. Field day events are a great way not only to see and hear new things in agriculture, but also are a great way to network with our neighbors, other growers in your area. Isaiah, I know that you've attended several field days in the past few years, both Conklin-driven events and otherwise. Can you give us an explanation of benefits that guests can obtain from attending field days?
Yeah, Dan, absolutely. Really field days are all about opportunities to learn, to see advances and practices in agriculture in a hands-on setting. So, we talk about all the results and data that we get, but there's really nothing that beats actually being in a field setting and seeing those results in person. Seeing side-by-side plots of different treatments. Maybe one might have a product applied to it versus a control, and it's all about seeing those results in person. So, as you alluded to, Dan, I did have the opportunity to attend some field days, that weren't necessarily Conklin-driven. At my time at the University of Missouri, I did work at the Integrated Pest Management field days. So, not only did that include things on how to control insects and weed control, but it also, it allowed me to see some of the new things that were going on in the university setting. So we'll get to the AgroVantage field days, but I did want to touch a little bit about some of the other things that are available just for learning and advancing your knowledge of agriculture and things going on, top of the line, new technologies. So for instance, one of the things that I was able to see while working at those Mizzou pest management field days, were actually 5-6 years ago, we were working with these new formulations of Roundup Ready Extend and these new traded beans. We actually got access to these years before they were released to farmers in the agriculture market, and essentially we were able to do research on the effects on weed control, on glyphosate-resistant populations of water hemp, and things like that. So it was definitely a great learning experience for me to be able to see exactly what's coming down the pipeline. And not only were there other Missouri farmers in the area, but other people in the industry that were able to network with each other and learn new things from each other. And that's kind of the same thing that we get from our AgroVantage field days. It's all about seeing those products in the field. As I mentioned, it's one of the big things about field days is that you can see these brand new things coming out of the pipeline. So with regards to the AgroVantage system, we had those products Intensify and Synthos. So those two products were released to our product market in 2018. We relied on our field day hosts to really get the word out there, to try these out on a test basis and show the results to growers in their area. So we got really good results that way. I think, Dan, you're going to elaborate the actual numbers later on in the call, but it's all about giving the people out there to see the results firsthand. Another thing is just, in addition to keeping an eye on the new things coming out, is refreshing yourself on the best management strategies So the proven methods and the proven control practices and fertilizer practices that we've all learned over, decades of research, but things that guys might have forgotten. Simple things like being able to look at stain counts from an Amplify. That's one thing that I've seen take place at several Conklin field days that I think is a great way to really push the results and share the results of Amplify. Is just taking a stain count, walking the rows, and we see up to 5 to 10% yield stain count differences just by using Amplify. Same goes for showing root mass. So we've seen really good results at field days where guys would dig up roots from Wex plots and compare those to a control plot that didn't have Wex. Another good comparison that is great to see at field days is things like leaf size and intensify. So we'll have our field day hosts go out there, pick a plant from the control plot, compare that to the leaf size with the intensified treated plants, and the results are just stunning. And that's really what we want growers to see, and we want our attendees to see at these field days. Another thing that I've seen at Conklin AgroVantage field days that is a great learning tool are maybe things to avoid. So for instance, I went to a field day last year where the host had applied boron in furrow. So that's not something that we ever recommend, but he basically wanted to recreate a worst case scenario to find out what really were the results there. So I think he saw pretty drastic yield or yield decreases there, stain decreases, and it's just a reminder of things that we want to avoid. I think the same field day host also had a test where he applied too much starter fertilizer. So, rates over what we're labeling, and basically saw the negative aspects that can happen when you don't do things the right way. So not only are you learning new things and refreshing yourselves on the proper management practices, but also it can be kind of a reminder of things not to do. Another great thing about our Conklin regional field days is that they are very regional. We've got, 10, 15 scheduled all throughout the nation right now, which is great for farmers to be able to see things that are relatable to them. So, farmers, they're going to want to see what's going on in their county, in their, that same soil type, in that same climate, because that's what's relatable to them. That's what they know will, if it's working for you in these same weather conditions, in these same soil conditions, then it'll work for me. So that's what's great about having these regional field days, is that you can really have something that's relatable and something that is going to be similar to the results that a grower might see in that same area. So, an instance might be, and one that I can think of is, when you're working with a high CEC or a low CEC, those can be very variable in the responses that you see from fertilizers and the management practices that you have to undertake to control that. So one that I attended was Brad Roke's in Winona, Indiana. So he had actually set up a drip system because he was working with CECs, as low as 3 and 5, and he didn't have that holding capacity to hold on to nutrients. So he's utilizing a drip system, basically feeding our Conklin AgroVantage starter fertilizers and micronutrients through the drip line to basically feed those plants every day. And it was something that a lot of guys in that same area, they're dealing with very sandy soils, and they were able to relate with what Brad was doing and learn off of what he was doing to maybe take something back to their farm. Another great thing that guests can have from field day is networking. So as I stated with Brad, he kind of did a collaboration with this drip line system, and the field day was a collaboration with Conklin AgroVantage and them. And it was great to basically have all our growers that were there for AgroVantage and all the growers that were there for Netafim to be able to kind of bounce off of each other and learn why AgroVantage products are the best for this drip system, why drip systems are a great way to use AgroVantage products. The same goes for some field day hosts that also partner with 360 Yield. So we talk about the Y drops and how it's a great way to sideband our Conklin AgroVantage fertilizers and get some micronutrients or NPK through 1818 down in the row. That's a great way to kind of network with those guys, maybe learn some new equipment that you might be able to take back to your farm, or for the guys that are there and attracted to the field day because of the 360 Yield Center, they might learn of a new fertilizer system through Conklin AgroVantage that's compatible with their equipment. So Preston, I know you've hosted a few AgroVantage field days in the past, and you make sure to attend several every single year. As someone on the inside and working from the field, could you give us a little bit of a advantage for you as a host, or as an insider? What benefits do you see for them?
Well, seeing is absolutely believing. And so for the people to come out and see it and feel it and touch it and see the different replications, to see the side-by-side comparisons, to see what the individual products actually do out there in a real-world environment. Everybody out there in the industry can talk about numbers and talk about benefits and talk about this and that, but when people can come out to the field and actually see the benefits for themselves, it makes them a true believer. And just like you said, the networking, people can come out there that are brand new, and we've got people that have been with us for a while. They like to come and see what's new and share with other people as well. And so just that networking is phenomenal, very similar to the networking that goes on at our ProAg programs. And so all of those things are phenomenal. A lot of people like to see those things, and like you said, the plot work that Dan Snetcher did, 64 replications, and he had some stuff out there that was over application. He put boron in the furrow, and yes, we saw a severe yield cut from putting boron in furrow. And we've talked about that for years. When you come to the ProAg program, we mentioned that 6 or 7 times. Do not put boron in furrow. And so that was awesome that Dan put that out there so that we could physically see it for ourselves and see the yield numbers come out the way that they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about that all the time, in that we don't want to see boron. Luckily, a lot of guys don't ever actually have to see the results of placing boron in furrow. But the way that Dan did it, it was a great way to warn guys, this is not something that you want to do, and these are results that you might see if you accidentally do this.